Hey, this is Ben Pakulski and Dr. Jacob Wilson coming at you from the Tampa MI40 gym. The purpose of this video is to get to the bottom of the new and cutting-edge supplement called phosphatidic acid, because to be honest, most people don't know what it is, most people don't know what it does, so I brought in the expert himself, Dr. Jacob Wilson, to teach you and teach me about what phosphatidic acid is, what it does, and the benefits to you and me.
Yeah, so I think most people who are watching this know what leucine is. They know what branched-chain amino acid is. So basically, if you eat a whole protein source, out of all the 20 amino acids, the one that's the signal to grow is leucine.
Right.
So, well, phosphatidic acid is not dissimilar. We think of muscles, we think of protein, right? But muscles also made of lipids, which are fats, right? So basically, the muscle membrane itself, mitochondria, they all have membranes. So the muscle's not just looking for, oh, I have protein to grow. It also looks, I have enough fat, enough lipid to grow. So phosphatidic acid is basically what leucine is to protein, phosphatidic acid is to lipids or fats. So it's the signal that the muscle senses and goes, all right, I need to grow.
So that needs to be present for growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And is that something the body creates itself? Is that something, I mean, I know the answer, but let's get to the bottom of this. Is that something the body creates itself? Is that something that taking a supplement would actually be a benefit to? Mm-hmm. And should we be taking it with every workout?
Great question. So,
like leucine.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So the answer is your body does make it. And basically when you train, when you lift weights, your body makes phosphatidic acid. So what happens is that when you damage the muscle, actually that releases an enzyme from the muscle that senses damage. That enzyme comes out and produces phosphatidic acid, and that's the mechanical sensor to grow, right? So that's basically what ended up happening. Now, so that led scientists, a colleague of mine, Troy Hornberger, to go, I wonder what's going on. And so he looked at that, he saw, well, that's the key to muscle growth. If you block that enzyme, basically, which produces it, you didn't grow. So that production is very important. That happens with like eccentric contractions.
And what enzyme is that?
That enzyme is called phospholipase D.
Okay.
And that produces phosphatidic acid. And basically, there's another one. It's called diacylglycerol kinase. Basically, to make it real simple, we know how we store fat. Fat's triglycerides. What is a triglyceride? Glycerol, which we're going to talk about later.
Yep.
Basically, people take glycerol to get a pump. Glycerol is bound to 3 fatty acids. It's a triglyceride. So a phospholipid is basically glycerol bound to 2 fatty acids and 1 phosphate group. And that is phosphatidic acid. So basically it's kind of like a fat, but it's 2 fatty acids and 1 phosphate. So you guys know like ATP, phosphate, you have 1 phosphate on there. And that is very simple phospholipid, and that's your body goes, oh, I can grow. And when basically phospholipase D is released when I do eccentric contractions, and it basically signals the muscle to grow because it produces phosphatidic acid, but also, remember I said diacylglycerol kinase? Diacylglycerol is basically the diglyceride. It's glycerol, 2 fatty acids, and the kinase enzyme adds the phosphate group. Those are the 2 ways, and that's triggered by resistance training itself, particularly eccentric contractions. So the question is, well, what if you take it?
That's the question. So would you say it's as essential to hypertrophy? It's probably hard to say, but as essential to hypertrophy as leucine?
I think so, because basically if you block that response, you don't get protein synthesis from training. So both are very important. So that's why scientists look, well, what if you give it? So basically our lab's the first lab to look at like what happens if you supplement with it. And actually we did some work with Jordan Joy a while back, who used to be in our lab. And when you actually gave phosphatidic acid and people trained, they got more growth. Now what's really cool about that, Jeff Stout's lab also found the same thing. At a UCF, they found that when you give phosphatidic acid, you grow, even, and it augmented the training response. And then more recently, we worked with Mike Roberts, and we were the first guys to look at protein synthesis. And when you take phosphatidic acid, it increased protein synthesis.
Really?
Yeah. So it's very cool.
Substantially or minor?
Substantially, really? Yeah. And yeah, so it's very cool.
So we've been shown that the absorption is good dietarily?
Yep, we tested that.
And what's the efficacious dose?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, what is the best dosage. You know, I think anywhere basically 500 milligrams is going to be solid. But
Pre-workout?
Pre-workout.
Once a day?
Yeah, well, you know, I'll tell you what, like, you know, bodybuilders, right?
Take it 5 times a day.
To be honest, yeah, that'd be my recommendation. But we do know 500 milligrams does work, and that's the bottom line.
Is it body weight dependent or body mass dependent?
Definitely
or?
body weight dependent. So if I was taking 500 milligrams, Ben would need to take like 1,000 milligrams,
Okay.
right? And I would definitely say that.
That's awesome. So there's some info for you on phosphatidic acid, the mechanism. Doc got into some pretty detailed stuff. SciTech does make an awesome phosphatidic acid called Mastodon. So you guys know I'm a SciTech athlete. I do suggest try that one out. And other than that, there's just some great info for you from Dr. Wilson. Ben Pakulski, we're out.